Now, changing the tone quite significantly, protest flags are banned at the Proms, the last night of the Proms, as audience members are told that they will be confiscated.
Yes, so the Proms website says flags from prescribed groups and flags related to protest, hatred or advertising will not be allowed in the auditorium. So we want to debate whether, firstly, whether, protest flags should be banned, but more, whether we should just have the British flag. Maybe that should be the only one allowed, the Union flag.
Or the British flag plus the flags of the nations of the United Kingdom.
Of the nations of the United Kingdom. Well, we're joined by royal broadcaster and historian Rafe Heydel-Mankoo and the broadcaster and social commentator Imarn Ayton. Thank you very much indeed to you both for joining us. Rafe, should it only be the Union flag and other flags of our nations that are allowed to be waved at the last night of the Proms?
Well, I certainly think we shouldn't be having any protest flags. It's important to have somewhere in our public life that isn't overtly political. Every other public space seems to have been taken over by politics. And the whole point of the last night of the Proms is to unify the nation. It's not an official event like, the King's birthday, but it's unofficially a chance for us all to actually come together and have a bit of fun about our great history and celebrate all of that. And I think it's been a shame to see over the past few years politics inserting itself in the shape of the EU flag, which, of course, we have seen campaigners handing them out outside the Albert Hall. Now, there's nothing wrong with the occasional person waving a Canadian or a Norwegian or a Botswanan flag, but, there are no citizens of the EU. And to have such a sort of a wave of them within the Albert Hall detracts from what should be a very, very uniting and positive event.
Imarn, what do you think of what Rafe's just said there? Surely we shouldn't have protest flags. The Proms is supposed to unite people.
Well, thank you for having me, Emily and Emma. I appreciate it. Rafe always makes some half-decent points. I'll be fair. So I think it is always about unity. But in order to achieve unity, we do have to include all of the different opinions and thoughts. And so when we think of protests, like protest flags, I don't even know what that is. But a protest flag, if we kind of delve into intellectual terms, it's just people advocating for what they believe in. And if this is a country who claims that they are leading with equality and inclusive behaviours and inclusive in terms of multiculturalism and ethnicities, then we should be taking all of those things into account. And the only way to be unified is to do exactly that. And so when we talk about having different flags, well, I think it's really important to just focus on the first and foremost point, which is that we're talking about classical music here, right? So classical music originated in Europe. It's not British. It never has been British, nor did it start and end with Britain. It actually comes from Europe. Europe has 44 countries. I think of Mozart, who was from Austria. I think of, my mum, working class black woman who's very intelligent. She played me music from some random man, some white man called George Handel. And it was a song called The Arrival. Let me just finish, please. It was the song called, if you don't mind, The Arrival of the Queen of Sheba. And if you all know classical music, you will know about this song from George Frederick Handel, The Arrival of the Queen of Sheba. This is what I was taught when I was 10. Hated it back then, as you can imagine. Now, fully appreciate it in this debate. And so more of the tale is, England did not start classical music. It didn't end with England.
I think you're debating. That's very interesting, Imarn. But I think we're debating a different question here, Imarn, because we need to get back to the flags, Imarn.
You didn't interrupt, Rafe. Can I just finish my point, please? Please.
To be fair, his point was shorter.
No, you're right. So I'll just make it very quick. Let's not act as if this is British. It's European. Sorted.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, Rafe, come back to that for us, because I imagine that the Proms is wary of, for example, having a Palestinian flag, an Israeli flag, and something, kicking off. They're probably worried about having anything related to any terror organisation, but I imagine that wouldn't happen.
None of those are terror organisations.
Hang on, Imarn. I'm going to Rafe now. The EU flag, for example, we've seen a lot of that being waved. Maybe maybe people with the pride flag, etc., etc. I mean, where would you draw the line, Rafe?
Well, can I just say, I have no idea what Imarn is talking about. We're not talking about people waving flags at every single classical music
That was your
concert
sentence, sir.
that is held up
Protest
let me
flag.
finish my point, up and down the country. We're talking about the last night of the proms, and the last night comes at the end of the proms seasons. We're doing several hundred concerts in total over that period. You know, if you want to protest, you can just walk outside the Albert Hall, cross the road, and go to Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park and have your protest there. Leave the politics at the door. The Albert Hall is for classical music. It's a treat, and it's a great British tradition. It's not a great European tradition. It's not a great Palestinian tradition. It's a British tradition. It's a time for us to celebrate. And I'm sorry, but politics has no place within what should be a moment for social cohesion and the nation coming together. The last night of the proms is so popular that it's gone outside the walls of the Albert Hall. So there are separate last night of the proms parties at Hyde Park, in Belfast, in Edinburgh, in Cardiff. The British people know what they like to celebrate, and they don't want to see it demeaned and devalued and debased by having politics and the nasty politics of protest.
Imarn, we're just running out of time. Imarn, I'll give you 30 seconds.
Europeans and etc. Sorry, Emily. Sorry.
No, Imarn. We're running out of time. So 30 seconds. 30 seconds to you to finish your point.
Okay. So, Rafe seems to be very much centred around British people, and it's very annoying when we talk about classical music.
The last night of the proms.
Mozart was from Austria. I've listened to Mozart. He's great.
Yeah, go to the Vienna Opera. This is London, the last night of the proms.
You didn't want me to interrupt, Rafe. Allow me to finish. I'll keep it brief. I know.
But he's right, though, isn't it? The proms is British.
No. Emma, don't discount what Emily just said. Please don't do that to Emily. Emily made a very valid point in terms of kind of understanding what I was saying, which is if we actually talk about facts, not feelings, not Rafe's perceptions, which he likes to lead with a lot. No, we're talking about facts and facts. Okay. Classical music is from Europe, Austria. Handel, who did the arrival of the Queen of Sheba.
Absolutely
he
true.
Is from Germany. So we want to keep it to Europe. So we want to include all different types of flags, all different types of feelings.
Well, it's a free-for-all in terms of flags for Imarn's last night of the proms.
No,
and Rafe wants the politics and any flags of protest to be left firmly at the door.
And in Austria, they can wave the Austrian flag, and in Germany, the German flag, and in France, the French flag at their classical music.
I'm going to have to leave it there, Imarn. I'm terribly sorry. Rafe, thank you very much. Always a good sport. Rafe Heydel-Mankoo and Imarn Ayton. To continue.
That's spicy.
Okay, well, this is Good Afternoon Britain. Let us know your thoughts. Should protest flags be left at the door when it comes to the last night of the proms?